Super Draco here, and we're back for stage 94 of Build Ecto-1. So, to jump in here, the first thing we're going to do is bring in the inner door panel, part 94A. And then we've got the window lever that's going to fit into that socket. Now, if we flip it over, it's a keyhole pattern. And so we have a cog with a matching keyhole pattern called 94C. So we're going to thread them together. And once that's together, we're going to hold the whole thing together with a KM screw. And as always, an M screw gets dipped in a little bit of oil. Now, because this mechanism needs to turn, we don't want to over tighten it. So here I'm just loosening it a half turn so that it can turn more freely. Alright, so next we're going to bring in cog 94D. And that's going to sit on that post. And then we're going to mount that with an HP screw. So P screws are screwing into plastic, so we don't need oil. Then we're going to bring in cog 94E after making sure that it can still turn. Again, you always want to make sure the mechanism works properly and isn't getting stuck. So cog 94E will be held down with a UP screw. Okay, again, we're going to make sure it's turning freely. And once you're, if you're building your own, or in my case, I'm happy, I'm going to flip over. Next, we've got the window vent crank. That's a push to fit. So it's a keyhole pattern, so it can only fit in one way. And there we go. So next we're going to bring in the interior door handle 94H. That's going to go in that socket, and then it has and you want to make sure it's not blocking that hole where the trim will go. And then we're going to mount that with an EP screw. And now that that's in and it's not moving, so then we're going to get both hands of the armrest parts 94I and J, and those will just sandwich together. Alright, so there's a locating peg on one side and then a socket for a screw on the other. So we're just going to peg it in, and unlike last time, I'm not going to forget to screw this in on camera. So that'll mount down with an EP screw. Don't mind me just having a little spatial dyslexia. Okay, so we're going to move on from there. So we're going to bring in that, well, first off, we've got two felt strips. And we're going to put those right there where they're over the cross sections. Those felt stickers will prevent the window from scratching as it's rolled up and down. If I remember right, they had a problem with that on the DeLorean. Anyhow, so next we're going to bring in part 94F, and then that window we didn't do anything with last time. So we're going to mount those together with a UP screw. Okay, and now that we've got that attached, we're going to bring in our door panel, and our part 94F is going to attach to our cog with 2 IP screws. Now, I could just go ahead and screw this in, but basically I want to make sure the window's in the right place before I go ahead and start screwing it in, because the window is going to move up and down in a specific path. And so what I'm doing is I'm just cranking the window a little bit until I'm getting it lined up with that specific path. Alright, and now for the IP screws. It's probably a joke related to IP freely. If you get that reference, you're probably as old as I am, or you're into retro stuff. Not to fish for engagement, but if you know that reference, put it in the comments section. So that's the first one, and now for the second. Okay, so with that all done, all that's left is to marry the door together. So we take our exterior, we're going to flip our interior upside down, make sure the door slips around that one little piece and doesn't get stuck. Alright, so the first screw we're going to put in the upper right hand corner is an IP screw. I suppose there's also an IP and UP joke somewhere in there, and a PP joke. Anyway, I'm going to get my mind out of the gutter. So the other 3 screws are going to be DM screws. Again, dipped in oil. So there's the first. And now the second. Now, that one wasn't going in straight, so I backed it out and am driving it harder from a straight, or driving it harder. Now, it's not all the way in. I fixed that after the fact because I wanted to get the other screw in, and that way it would go down better. That sounded way dirtier than I intended it to. Anyway, and so once this screw is in, that is it for issue 25. So thanks for watching. I'll see you for issue 26 if and when it arrives. Thanks for watching. Check out my fantasy story on Fiction Press. 4 chapters and a prologue and counting.